So we continue the topic apparent weight of a man in a lift, and the first case we have discussed that when the lift moves upward with an acceleration a, then the normal reaction acting in upward direction, weight is acting downward direction, and since lift is going in upward direction, so the direction of resultant force must be acting in the upward direction. The resultant force comes from Newton's second law, force equals to mass into acceleration. So R would be taken positive because lift is going upward. So R minus mg equals to ma, and we get the value of R equals to m into a plus b. Hence, when a lift accelerates upward, when a lift accelerates upward, then apparent weight of a man. This R is nothing but this R is the apparent weight. So when a lift accelerates upward, then apparent weight of a man inside the lift increases. The apparent weight increases because R is equals to m into a plus g, and actual weight is mg and apparent weight is m into a plus g. So when lift moves in upward direction or when the lift accelerates upward, then apparent weight of a man inside the lift increases. Now, second case. When the lift goes down with an acceleration a, when the lift goes down with an acceleration a, so the weight acting always vertically downward and normal reaction acts in upward direction, and the direction of acceleration is the direction of the force is acting downward direction, so acceleration is also acting in the downward direction. In this case, since the lift is going in downward direction, it means mg will be greater than r. So the direction of resultant force is downward. That's why mg will be greater than r and mg will be taken as positive. So mg minus r is equals to the resultant force, and resultant force is equals to m into a, and we get mg minus ma equals to r. So r equals to m into g minus a. So we conclude r is the apparent weight of a man inside the lift. Apparent weight of a man inside the lift when the lift is going downward. So when a lift accelerates in downward direction, then apparent weight of the man Apparent weight means R. Apparent weight of the man inside the lift decreases. Inside the lift, the apparent weight of the man decreases when the lift goes downward. Now, the third case we discussed. The third case is when the lift is at rest or moving with uniform velocity. Case 3. When the lift is at rest or moving with uniform velocity. Upward or downward. Upward, oblique, downward. This is the case number 3. When the lift is at rest, either the lift is at rest or it is moving with uniform velocity, upward or downward. So since in both the cases, when the lift is at rest, then the acceleration is 0, or if the lift is moving with uniform velocity either in upward and downward direction, then in that case also acceleration is 0. It means A equals to 0. And we know that R minus mg is equals to m into A, and A is 0, so it becomes 0. R minus mg. This is the case of upward, when the lift is going in upward direction. And when the lift is coming in downward direction, then mg minus R equals to ma. So m into 0 in both the cases. This becomes 0. So R minus mg equals to 0, and we get the value of R equals to mg. From here, when the lift is going downward, again this term becomes 0 and R will be equals to mg. So in both the cases, when either lift is at rest or the lift is either moving upward direction or downward, then R is equals to mg. It means the actual weight is equals to apparent weight. So R is the apparent weight and mg is the actual weight. So in both the cases we get apparent weight is equals to actual weight. Now the fourth case. When the lift falls freely. Case number 4. When the lift falls freely. This case arises when the cable of the lift breaks. When the cable of the lift breaks. So when the lift falls freely, it means the cable of the lift breaks. And when the lift is coming in downward direction, in that case, we have seen the formula that mg minus R equals to ma, and R is equals to mg minus A. So in that case, A is becomes equals to G because lift is under the effect of gravity. So A equals to G. So R equals to M G minus G, which is 0. So we get apparent weight equals to 0. R becomes 0. And this is the case of weightlessness. This is the case of weightlessness when R becomes 0. So apparent weight of the man becomes 0 because both man and lift are moving downward with the same acceleration g. Both man and lift are moving downward, going downward with the same acceleration g, and that's why the apparent weight is 0, and hence there is no force of action or reaction between the man and lift. Hence, there are no any force of action or reaction between the man and lift. And this is the case of weightlessness. Hence, the person develops a feeling of weightlessness. Hence, a person, hence, a person feels weightlessness. So this is the fourth case, is the case of weightlessness when the cable of the lift breaks. Now the next topic, which is very important, and that is conservation of linear momentum. Conservation of linear momentum. So when no any external force acts on a system of various interacting particles, when no any force acts on a system of various interacting particles, when no any force acts on a system of various interacting particles, then total linear momentum of the system, then the total linear momentum of the system remains conserved. This is the statement of conservation of linear momentum. When no any force acts on a particle, on a system of various interacting particles, when no any force acts on a system of various interacting particles, then the total linear momentum of the system remains conserved. So suppose let there are various particles. Let M1, M2, M3, Mn be the various particles. M1, M2, M3, Mn be the masses of various particles which are interacting with each other, and their velocities be v1, v2, v3 dash dash vn. There are total n particles in the system whose masses are m1, m2, m3, mn, and velocities are v1, v2, v3 and vn. Then total linear momentum of the system is given by p vector equals to m1 into v1 vector plus m2 v2 vector plus m3 v3 vector and plus dash dash mn vn vector. This is the total linear momentum of the system, and this can also be represented by p vector equals to p1 vector plus p2 vector plus p3 vector plus dash dash pn vector. Sum of linear momentums of the n particles is equals to total linear momentum of the particles. And if F is the external force acting on the system, if F be the external force acting on the system, F be the external force acting on the system, then from momentum we know that force applied, external force F equals to rate of change of linear momentum, F equals to dp by dt. And if F is equals to 0, when no any force acts, on a system. So if external force is 0, it means dp by dt will also become 0. dp by dt is equals to 0. Differential coefficient of linear momentum is 0. And if the differential coefficient of any term is 0, then it means that term is the constant term, because we know that differentiation of constant term, d by dx of constant equals to 0. So if the differential coefficient is 0, it means p is the constant, because derivatives of constant term is 0. So from here we conclude that p is constant. Total linear momentum is constant. It means it remains conserved. Or we can say that p1 plus p2 P1 plus P2 plus P3 plus dash dash Pn equals to constant. It means total linear momentum of the system of n particles which are interacting with each other remains always conserved. Total linear momentum of the system of n particles which are interacting with each other always remains conserved. Now the next topic is the law of conservation of linear momentum from Newton's third law. Law of conservation of linear momentum from Newton's third law. Law of conservation of linear momentum. Law of conservation of linear momentum from Newton's third law. So we derive the law of conservation of linear momentum from Newton's third law, and we discuss three cases. Suppose there are two bodies, body A and body B. Body A is moving with velocity u1 and body B is moving with velocity u2. And the mass of body A is m1 and the mass of body B is m2. And velocity of u1 is greater than velocity of u2. So after some time they collide with each other. This is the second condition, when two bodies collide with each other. They approaches, m1 mass body A approaches to B, and after some time they collide, and in that situation the mass was m1, its mass was m2, and the force, this is force AB, force acting on mass m1 due to mass m2, or force acting on a body A due to the body B, and this is force BA, force acting on a body B due to the body A. And the third condition, that after collision they started moving with different velocity. Body A, its velocity gets changed. When they collide, their velocity gets changed. Body A is moving with velocity v1 and body B is moving with velocity v2. So this is the case before collision. And this is the case during collision. And the third case is after collision. So there are three cases. First case is there are two bodies having their masses m1 and m2, and both are moving with different velocities u1 and u2. Body A approaches body B. After they collide to each other, then both will exert force on to one another. And then the third case is after collision their velocity gets changes. They started moving with velocity v1 and v2. So from Newton's second law, from Newton's third law, we know from Newton's third law, from Newton's third law, we can write that these two forces FAB and FBA, they are equal in magnitude but they are opposite in direction. So F of AB equals to minus of f of BA. Multiply both sides by a small time interval delta t. So f of AB multiplied by delta t equals to minus of f of BA multiplied by delta t. Both sides will be multiplied by a small duration delta t. Now this is the expression for impulse, force into time. Force into time is equals to impulse, and impulse is equals to change in linear momentum. This is the expression for impulse, force into time, and impulse is equals to change in linear momentum. Change in linear momentum means m1 v1 minus m1 v1 minus m1 u1, m1 v1 minus m1 u1. Change in linear momentum of body of mass m1. This is the final momentum. After collision, their momentum is m1 v1, and before collision, the momentum of body A is m1 u1. So FAB means force acting on body A due to the body B. So that impulse is equals to change in momentum of body A, and change in momentum is equals to final momentum minus initial momentum. M1 V1 minus M1 U1 is equals to minus FBA. FBA means force or acting on B due to the body A, which is equals to M2 V2 minus M2 U2. The final momentum of the body B is M2 into V2, M2 V2, and initial momentum of the body B was M2 into U2, and F into delta T, FAB into delta T, this is impulse, F into delta T, this is the impulse, and we know impulse equals to change in momentum, change in momentum. So this expression gives the change in momentum. We expand this bracket, so we get M1 V1 minus M1 U1 equals to minus M2 V2 and plus M2 U2. Now it becomes M1 V1. It goes on left side, becomes positive, plus M2 V2 equals to, this goes on right side, it becomes positive, M1 U1 and plus M2 U2. So this is the total momentum after collision, total linear momentum after collision. This is the total linear momentum. Total linear momentum after collision, and this is the expression for total linear momentum, total linear momentum before collision. And since the total linear momentum after collision is equals to the total linear momentum before collision, therefore the momentum is conserved. Therefore we conclude that momentum is conserved. So this is the conservation of linear momentum from Newton's third law of motion. From Newton's third law of motion.